Hey guys, today I'll be showing you, this is part 2 to my science project. I just found out that I have to do, there's 5 parts to my whole entire project, and I thought I only had to do 1, but I don't. So yeah, I'm going to be doing part 2 to my other 5 parts. And yes, I'm recording this on my PlayStation because Minecraft won't load on my computer. And today, I'll be talking about seasons, what causes seasons, equinoxes, and solstices. Let's get into it. So, here's the first season that I have demonstrated right here. This is summer. Yeah, so this is summer. And yeah, I represented it by adding a whole bunch of trees, which you can sit down shade by. And there's a little pool for you to dip in since it's really hot in the summer. So yeah, that's how I represent summer. In spring, I didn't know really how to represent it. So what I did is just added 1 tree and a whole bunch of like overgrowth and stuff. Since in spring, stuff likes to grow a lot. So that's how I represented spring. Fall, I had no clue how to represent this since I cannot change the color of the leaves in super flat. So what I just did is I planted a acacia tree and put it right next to like a desert to show that like fall is like chilly and a bit dry. In winter, you can clearly see I represent this really good since, well, Minecraft's got winter blocks. I represented it by like adding like some ice patches, snow, and spruce tree with snow all over it. And yeah, now let's get into not the fun parts. What causes seasons? The Earth's spin's axis is tilted with respect to its orbital plane, which is what causes the seasons, and the angle of the sun is how the seasons work. Like, say I'm in the northern hemisphere and it's winter. What would be in the southern hemisphere? Summer. And the same for the opposite. If it was spring in the northern, it'd be fall in the southern, vice versa. And now, time for equinoxes and solstices. First up, equinoxes. Equinoxes is the time or date at which the sun crosses the celestial equator when day and night are approximately equal length, about September 22nd and March 20th, aka my birthday. So my birthday was an equinox, which I had no clue actually. Yeah, but now let's go to solstices. A solstice is an event that occurs when the sun reaches its most northerly or southerly exposure relative to the central equator on the celestial sphere. And there's going to be one this year, Thursday, June 20th, 2024 at 4:50 p.m. And well, now it's time for Earth's tilt. Wait, no, I already talked about that. Okay, so yeah, this is part 2 out of 5 parts, and we'll see you in part 3. Guys, welcome to part 3 of my science project. We're going to be learning I'm not learning touching anything. Well, I am. It's just that I am going to be showing you guys neap tides and spring tides, the blue tide, I think it's called, and a position of the sun, moon, and earth for the tides. Let's start with spring tide. So for the spring tide, the low tide, it would be at this point of like the shore or ocean. And as you can clearly see up here, that's the high tide, where it'd be probably like a couple feet away from the low tide previously was. Now to the diagram. For a high tide to happen, the moon either has to be right here or right here. And the earth, well, is right here in between the moon. And the sun is right here for the spring tide. Over at neap tides, which are the smaller type of tides, are the low tides, probably at the same point, but the high tides are probably just a couple inches higher than the low tide. For these neap tides to happen, the moon must be on either side of the earth, and the sun must be over here. And I did not make a diagram for the blue tides, so I'm just going to be telling you about what a blue tide is. Blue tide is gravity and an interact in opposition on the Earth's oceans, creating tidal blues on opposite sides of the planet. And yes, I have no clue how to pronounce that, but let's just call it blues. And now, how do the sun and moon make the tides actually happen? Well, when the sun, moon, and earth are in alignment at the time of the new or full moon, the solar tide has an additive effect on the lunar tide, creating extra high tides or very low tides, both commonly called spring tides. So, a lunar tide, which would technically be a spring tide, and the other type of tide, which is probably a solar tide, which would be the neap tinier tides. And hopefully you guys learned something about these tides, which you probably don't want to even know about this, but I had to do it to get a good grade on my science.